Okay, so TJ's been feeling pretty good with most of the exercises that we've had. Fitness level gym. Say 12 degrees passive. All right, Rich O'Neill here with Elite Functional Performance in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here we are ready to do the next installment on TJ's quad tendon therapy rehab journey. If you've been following our videos along on YouTube, you've seen him be making some pretty dramatic progress over the last few weeks. We've taken him into single leg environments now and watched him really improve in his ability to transfer weight side to side. We've been really working hard with his squat patterning and have seen a big increase in his bilateral loading capability. We've even gotten some footwork going and some agility with weight transfer and have seen a lot of speed start to come back into his movement. And the overall movement quality has been really top notch. So we're at the point now where we have to start thinking about the quality of the tissue related to the atrophy that's occurred from the actual surgery itself. So what often happens is we notice over about a 100-day, 120-day period, the scar tissue really begins to mature and gets pretty gritty around that insertion site where we have a lot of the other muscles in the quad coming down and attaching. So we, at that point, generally implement the instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization techniques. I was certified through rock tape. So we use the rock blade, start scraping around the scar area, getting into some of the vastus medialis, lateralis, rectus femoris tendon attachment sites. By scraping through that tendon area and working through the scar area, we're going to be helping TJ regain some range of motion and getting back some of the lost mobility from the surgery. So we always begin by just kind of putting a little bit of some lotion on there. I use the Deep Blue from doTerra. This is a good warming compound that uses both menthol and camphor to have some of that warming effect, which is useful for bringing blood flow to the surface of the skin. You can see we've got TJ here in a knee extended position. So we begin with the rock blade. I'm going to start with just a basic feathering technique. Now the feathering technique is where we're sort of exploring from the lateral side through the top side of the quad out to the medial side. And the feathering technique is going to be representative of more rapid vibration, which is going to stimulate the mechanoreceptors in the fascial tissue called the Pacinian corpuscles. These are type 2 mechanoreceptors in the fascial tissue. We also use a upregulatory stroke, which is going to be a little bit more for the Ruffini endings, another mechanoreceptor in the fascial tissue that responds a little bit more to shear and pressure. So between those two techniques, we're moving through this area, and we can feel that the tissue's a little gritty, it's a little stagnant, and we want to make sure that there isn't any limited blood flow to the area. We can kind of feather over the scar itself. Not too intense. We're maybe at a 5 to a 6 in pressure. We want to just keep working over this area. We'll bring TJ into a knee flexion here. Continue working through that lateral side, through the top side, into that medial compartment, VMO, and then around through the scar. So I would suggest doing this anywhere from maybe 2 to 3 minutes, alternating between the upregulatory strokes and the feathering strokes. Again, working with more of that rapid vibration as well as the pressure shear. Okay, so here we are. We're set up in front of our free motion cable cross machine. We're at the point where we're now going to be thinking about what we can do as far as getting a little bit more hypertrophy into his quad. So through the surgery, we noticed a good amount of muscle loss and deterioration simply due to the surgical trauma as well as the period of time involving non-usage. We've obviously seen a tremendous amount of mobility increase as well as overall strength. So we're going to get TJ going now with some specific work to get that muscle firing again and see if we can get that quad to build up a little bit. So what we've set up here is a bench on two 12-inch boxes, and we're going to be working an open chain leg extension. So we've got 15 pounds on the weight stack. We're going to get them set up around the ankle cuffs here. And we'll have him kind of working his toe both internally to make sure he's getting to the VMO. He can move his foot externally to make sure he's hitting VLO. And I find that the open chain has a better capacity to not drive as much force through the knee as kind of the standard leg extension machines. So this setup works great. We do this with our folks who are trying to prehab for meniscal tear surgery or any sort of knee issues that are a little bit too intensified for some of the standardized leg machines. So with this one at 15 pounds of load, I'd see TJ doing about maybe 8 to 10 each leg. We'll hit the other side. And I always find value in a rehab scenario training both legs independently so that the neurological system can kind of begin to catalog the reps that are done on the good side and have the mirroring effect. In other words, we want the right side to perform as well as the left side, and so we can use the left side as kind of a teaching model for the right side to mimic. So same thing, about 8 to 10 repetitions on that side. Good. And now we'll swing TJ around and have him come onto the opposite side here. And now we're just going to work some hamstring curl. So we'll plug him into that same 15 pounds. And now here, he's going to be working knee flexion. And same thing, he can turn that toe both internally and externally. He's got some activation through his core, so we're trying to keep that upright spinal position, make sure there isn't too much flexion in the spine. His hamstrings are pretty strong, and so I'd like to see maybe about 12 to 15 reps per set here. When we think about the overall health of the knee, I like to get a lot of hamstring work done. You'll see in some of our past videos we had some eccentric loading going on, both one leg and two legs, to fortify the knee capsule and make sure that everything both on the front side and the back side are staying strong. We hit the left side for a few here also. And you'll find that this works a little bit better than some of the machines where you're laying prone and kind of doing your butt kickers. You get a lot more core activation and emphasis on spinal position when we're in that open chain environment. Good.
Okay, so we're back. We've got our hex bar set up for TJ to begin his deadlift sequences. Here he's been doing a really good job with getting overall global power through his lower body. He's been doing a great job of not really getting too much into the knee, but getting his hip hinge working again with his squats. If you go back and watch some of the older videos where we were working into our box squats with the goblet, you'll see that his hip hinge and his squat pattern has really cleaned up quite a bit through the rehab. So here, what we were noticing is that as he was deadlifting, he was beginning through the decelerative portion to kind of lean and favor that left side. So as he was coming down, he was really starting to tilt a little bit too much to his left to keep the weight off of that right side. So what we did is we took our 1-inch rubber squares here, 3 high, so we got 3 inches. We decided to just bring the ground a little bit closer to him. So we got 155 pounds on the bar. You'll see that he's maintaining a nice flat spine. Coming down with control where he's able to really decelerate and work the eccentric range very smoothly through both sides and not favor each one. I want him in a strict about 5 to 7 rep range with this, so we're not going to go over that. Rest. And we'll be just building up the load from there and eventually taking away a square until he's back down on the ground.